I don't. I can find out for you. Let me make a note to myself.
My cousin's wedding is June 1st, which is like the review day or whatever.
Oh.
I think it's Friday. So I would miss it because I want to take finals early. If I can. I know now. It's in like 6 months.
All right, a little less than 6 months. We're almost through
5 months.
We're through January now. Okay, so we're going to learn a couple of new case uses today. Okay. Yay. The first one is the accusative of extent. Okay.
Yeah.
A few, not very many. Okay, so this may be, is this our first accusative case use thing?
I think so.
The first one. This is the accusative
Milestone.
of extent. Sometimes called duration of time. Again, remember the names are always scarier than what it actually is. We've seen this many times before. If you want to say he lived in France for many years, right? Many years is how long he lived there, the duration of time that he was there. And that just goes into the accusative. So if you want to say for many years, it's multos annos in the accusative. Okay. So if you wanted to say I lived in France for many years, you'd say multos annos. If you wanted to say I studied Latin for 2 years, Shirley, how would you say that?
Did I say study?
Oh, don't worry about that. Just for,
Okay.
for 2 years.
Oh, for 2 years. Do I, wait. No. You might be a little harder. Duos.
Yes. Duos annos for 2 years.
But then how do you tell the difference between datum
What?
and accusative?
In the English, you mean?
Yeah.
So you just have to, so that's a little tricky with time expressions, because remember we have, so this is duration of time, we also have ablative of time when. So you just have to think about what the English is really saying. Is it saying it happened that year? That's not a duration idea, right? That's a point. That's when it happened. So that would be ablative. If you're saying it happened over a period of several years, it happened for several years, that's a duration of time. So this is a little bit thinking through the English sentence and trying to figure out what it means. Does it mean it happened at a certain point? Then you're going to use the ablative. Did it happen over a certain period, for a certain period? That's going to be the accusative. Okay. So there's going to be no preposition. Again, it just goes right into the accusative case. Okay. Okay. So an example of the difference between the two would be if you wanted to say, I remain here a few hours. What kind of idea is that? I remain here for a few hours.
This one?
Accusative, right? So how would you say that? I remain here for a few hours. During a few hours.
Pauka, let me see, I don't know, hour, like 4 or something.
Good. So how,
So isn't A at the end?
except what gender is hour? You just said it hora, so
It's
feminine. So we want to say a few hours, that's going to be plural. So,
Paukai.
but
No, accusative. Pauk.
paukas, good.
Horas.
Horas, good. So for a few hours I remained there, or I ice skated for a few hours. It's the duration of time when. If you want to say on that day I ice skated, what's that going to be?
That's that.
That's the ablative time when, right? Because it's isolating one single point when something happened. So how would we say on that day, Emil? Oh, that's okay. Does it remember day in the ablative? Let me see before, like, we've just seen it in the readings. We haven't officially had it. Not close, DA. So DA. So what would this? So DA is the ablative. So if you want to say on that day,
You would use a preposition.
not a preposition. So neither the guys. So neither the ablative of time when nor the accusative of extent uses a preposition. So you just throw it in the ablative. So how do you say that day?
Oh, Uang.
Wait, what's the word for that? Not
Elect.
this, but that, elect. Good, so then you just want to put in the ablative.
So, Elos, no. Elon,
Ablative singular.
Elon.
Good. So ila, or it's masculine, so ilo, da. So on that day. So again, it's just, you just have to think through what the English is saying. Is it saying it happened at a point? Then it'll be ablative. Did it happen over a series of time, through a period of time? Then it'll be duration, and then the accusatives. Okay? Are there any questions about that? But again, we've been, here.
So it's always going to be plural?
No, you can say, because you can say I studied Latin for 1 year, and then it would be what? How would you say I studied Latin for 1 year?
It's just, no.
But you gotta put in the accusative though. So, singular. Now we want it to be singular.
Uno,
Accusative.
una,
Does the accusative end in the singular? What letter? Okay. M. So unum, because it's masculine. Unum, anum. And that would mean for 1 year. Or like for 1 month. How do we say for 1 month, Adele? Menses, good. So the accusative would be mens. It's it's third declension. Good. So unum mensem. Yeah. So it can be singular or plural. It just depends on how long the period was. Okay. Good. So are there any other questions about this? And we've been seeing this for a while. This multis annos idea. Okay. So the other one that we're going to learn has to do with describing things using nouns instead of adjectives. Okay, so it's called the genitive or ablative of description. So for this one, again, no preposition here. You take a noun plus an adjective. It's always a noun-adjective pair, okay? And you just put it into the genitive or the ablative, okay? To describe another noun in the sentence. So we actually saw this in our reading A New Cousin earlier in the week. We said, I can't remember his name, but Quintus is a boy of great spirit. Maybe I'll translate that sentence right for us. So we said Quintus.
Good memory.
Yeah. And so he's a boy, a puer, of great spirit. Just like it sounds in English, it's going to just go into the genitive in Latin. Okay, so magni animi. Okay. So you want to describe some noun in the sentence using a noun-adjective pair. It goes in the genitive. It can also go in the ablative. Okay.
When we go after.
So they're pretty much interchangeable. For our purposes, they're pretty interchangeable. Usually you would use the genitive for permanent qualities. Like he's always going to be a boy of great spirit. That's kind of a permanent quality. If it's more of a sort of temporary or physical quality, it tends to go in the ablative. So you could say like, barbari inimico animo. What would that mean? Foreigners. Remember, we're just describing them. So foreigners. What are we saying about these foreigners?
Of a hostile spirit.
Of a hostile spirit, or with a hostile spirit. And we can actually translate either the genitive, he's a boy with great heart, right, or of great spirit. We can translate them either, making them sound either ablative or genitive in English. Both of them are fine. So barbarians of hostile spirit or with hostile spirit. So that makes it sound more like a temporary quality, like we're just fighting with them right now, but maybe not forever. Okay, but again, the for our purposes, they're pretty much interchangeable. And again, no preposition. It's always going to be noun and an adjective together. So you couldn't just say puer animi, a boy of spirit. It would have to be a boy of great spirit or a boy of little spirit. It has to be modified by an adjective. Okay? Are there any questions about that? So just to practice, you can do this on your drill sheet, just so you have it written down, but I'm not going to collect it as a drill.
Can we write it in our notes?
You may write it in your notes. Okay. So the first one, men of lower birth. Or would you say men of lower birth? And we'll just assume men is in the nominative.
How do you say birth?
Birth, what's our word for birth? Or like,
Like,
good, not gens, because that's nation, but it's related to it. Not gens, but gen. Yes. That's still part of gens. It's gens, gens, yes. Gen. Think about it. It also means kind. Good. Genus. Good. So genus, generis. The next one, and then we'll go over them. But the next one is no one with that courage. There's no one with that courage these days. No one with that courage. How many words is that going to be in Latin? No one with that courage? Three words. Good. The next one is people of the same age.
What's age again?
Is that what I see everyone looking? I taught, very good. Mhm. The next one is Mercury, a god of great speed. The next ones are going to be time expressions, so just try to think through how we're going to express these in Latin. So the first one is for 1 year. Again, I studied Latin for 1 year. The next one is for a long time. We laughed for a long time. next one is at that time. So at that time, there was no cure. And the last one is before that time. Alright, so men of lower birth. What are we gonna have for that? Men, we know how to say men. Weary, good. Of lower birth.
Inferioris generis.
You're gonna use that comparative inferior, so inferioris generis is our new genitive of description.
Inferioris generis.
Generis. They're both third declension, right? Comparatives are third declension, and then genus generis is third. So weary inferioris generis. Very nice. No one with that courage. How do we say no one? Nemo. Nihil is nothing. But nemo, good. With that courage. Or of that courage. What are you gonna say? How do you say courage, guys? You can use animus, good. You could also use what? Virtus. Either one is perfect, okay? But what do we need to do with it?
Accusative or appellate?
Genitive or appellate, good. So what did we do? Adele, which one did you put it in?
I tried appellate.
Appellate, good. So Nemo,
Hello, where to tell?
good, except remember where tutis is which declension? Third.
To 11 or to 10.
We want to put it in the ablative, right? So we're two, not M, but
S.
what's that ablative singular ending for the third declension?
E. So where to te.
We're two te, good. And then does anyone remember what gender virtus is? So see, it's feminine. So it seems like it should be masculine because it's manliness, right? But it's an abstract noun, and remember, abstract nouns are always feminine. Okay, so not illo virtute, but ill. What's the feminine ending? Illa virtute. Good. Okay. So nemo illa virtute. If we were going to put it in the genitive, what would it sound like, Emily? Virtutis, good. And then we put ille in the genitive singular. This was the one that has an irregular genitive and dative. So remember that genitive singular?
The illy.
That's the dative. So remember, it's one of those class of adjectives where the dative is e and the genitive is ius. Very nice. So illius virtutis, of that virtue, of that courage. Okay. Good. People of the same age. How do we say people? Homines. Good. Of the same. What's our word for the same? Good. Idem, eadem, idem. And here we want to put it in what case? Genitive, just like it sounds in English. Good. So Emily told us the word for age, which is aitos. So what's the genitive of that, Mark? Aitos, So it's third declension. So remember, all the ones that end in os in the nominative, they follow the same pattern. So aitos, aita. What's that genitive singular? Aitat. Aitatus, very nice. So aitatus, the same. So remember, idem, eadem, idem is just isea id with dem on the end. Okay, so homines eustem aetatis. Mercury, a god of great speed. Ido, what'd you get for that?
Mercury, Deus Celeris Magni.
Close, but remember, Keller is the adjective. We need the noun speed. What's the noun for swiftness, speed? It's related to Keller.
Hilarious.
That's not an adjective. Hilary. What are those abstract nouns end in? What?
Hilarious.
Close. That's that you're using the comparative hilaritas. Good. Hilaritas. Therefore, the genitive is going to be
Hilaritas.
hilaritatis, and it's going to be what gender? Because it's an abstract noun. Feminine. Good. So Mercurius Deus hilaritatis
Magni.
magni. Okay. Are there any questions about those ones? Okay. So remember, it's don't overwork it. It's just like it sounds in English. If it's with great speed or whatever, it's going to be ablative. If it's of great courage, it's going to be genitive. Okay. For 1 year, Nate, what'd you get for 1 year?
I realized I put it in the accusative.
That's a good thing.
Oh.
Right, because this is for 1 year, is the idea of duration of time, right? So that's the first thing. So not this, going back to the accusative of duration. So what would it sound like?
So would unum anum work?
Yeah, definitely. Unum anum. All by itself, no preposition, it means for 1 year. This was happening over the course of 1 year. Okay. For a long time, Aaron? What do we have for a long time?
Longo, tempo.
Good, except that, remember, tempus is neuter, so it's just going to be tempus still. Tempus is the nominative, but it's neuter, so it'll also be the accusative. So longum tempus. Good. Very nice, for a long time. At that time, Emil?
So it would be Ile.
What case do we want to put it in?
Into accusative.
Think about it though, in English, is it saying it happened for a period of time, or it happened at a certain time? So it's going to be not accusative of duration of time, but
Gender. No?
what's our, what? Ablative of time when. When did it happen? It happened at that time. So we're going to throw it into the ablative.
So tempo.
Close. You want your whole stem. Tempor.
Oh, temporal.
Good word, but it's third declension. So what's that? Ablative singular third declension.
A.
Yeah, tempore. And then at that. Illo. Good. Illo tempore. At that time. Okay. And then the last one, before that time. How are we going to say before that time?
Right.
Good. Not pri usually, but you are going to use a preposition. What's our preposition for before when it comes to time? Ante, right? Like antebellum, right? So ante, and what case does ante take?
Accusative.
Accusative, good. So before that time would be ante.
Temporal.
So it's illud, remember, so it's ille, illa, illud. Illud temp.
Temporal.
Remember what gender it is.
Wait. So, oh, is it just tempus?
Tempus again, right? Because it's neuter, so the nominative and accusative are going to be the same. So ante illud tempus before that time. Okay. Are there any questions about that? Okay. So what I want you guys to do now is find partners. We're going to try something a little new, as per Emily's suggestion of translating song lyrics. So we're going to see how this goes.
Seriously?
Dude, he's funny.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So in partners, you're gonna pick, let's say, three songs, and you're just gonna translate one lyric, probably the hook or the chorus, right? Because ultimately, you're gonna translate those into Latin, and then try to get people to guess what the song is. So you don't want to pick something too obscure. You don't want to pick something too difficult, right? So 3, just in case we have overlap, okay? So in your partners, you're going to pick 3 songs with easy to translate and easy to recognize hooks or choruses, and translate that into Latin. That's going to be our first step. Okay? And you probably want to separate out a little bit so other people can't hear what you're doing, because we're going to try to get people to guess.
Yeah. Can you do that one?
Sure, but we can do 3 or 4
I
songs.
have a song idea.
3 or 4, yeah.
Okay.
I do it up here.
Well,